Hello and a very warm welcome to our very first back page in 2014. I'm joined by David McCarthy here at Central Quay. Now, David, it really was, it turned out to be a great Christmas really in terms of the fixtures, and we were served up a few cracking matches in the Scottish top flight, but one result of the weekend there caught my eye, and that was Aberdeen's at Rugby Park. That's probably the kind of game that the Dons have been losing week in and week out for the best part of 15 years now.
Without a doubt, that was a real show of intent, I think, that they went there and had to really scrap and bite and fight for it, and you know, they got the late goal. Did they get a wee bit of rub at the green earlier on in the game when Chris Boyd scored? Some refs wouldn't have given that as a foul. I personally think that there was a foul, but there wasn't much in it. However, they did see it through. They're now second in the league, and it will be their ambition to remain that way, and I think that they might just manage it.
Have you been impressed with the job that Derek McInnes has done?
Very much.
He did have that summer window. He made a few additions, but to be honest, looking back at the time, I wasn't quite sure how it was going to work out for him. It still looked a bit threadbare. It did,
but they brought in experience in the shape of Flood and Robson, and that helped, although ironically both of them had spells out injured. But some of the younger players came through and did well. I like Shaughnessy. I know he doesn't play every week, but I like him. I think he's going to be a really good right back. But the guy that's really come to the fore this season is Peter Pollitt, who you know, playing in that role just off the striker, or basically the most advanced of the midfielders. The kid had a bit of a reputation for being a diver and whatnot, but we're now seeing the positive side of his game, and he's been one of the standouts so far, I think, in the first half of the season.
You know, it was a difficult first season, I think, in Scotland for every team when Rangers dropped out of the Scottish top flight, but are there maybe signs that the likes of Dundee United, Aberdeen are maybe growing in a wee bit of strength and confidence now?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I still firmly believe that the top league desperately needs Rangers back in it, because for me, you know, Celtic cantering to the title every season really isn't what anybody wants to see. Apart from maybe a Celtic fan, but I think even Celtic fans are you know, a bit fed up with that. I think they want to see more competition, but the converse of that has been the fact that some of the other teams have been able to come to the fore. They've had, in fact, I did a piece on Saturday morning with Derek Ray, the BT Sport commentator, who made the point that the spotlight's been able to shine more in the other clubs because of the lack of an old firm rivalry. And you know, I mean, Dundee United have been going great guns. Motherwell, what a month that Motherwell have had. You know, it's been absolutely sensational. And obviously, as we've just spoken about there, Aberdeen, now Terry Butcher's got Hibs up and running as well, and it is really interesting. But the bottom line is that everyone knows who's going to win the league, and everyone knows who's going to get relegated. You know, so I do think that the sooner Rangers are back in the top flight, the better.
Looking at Rangers, you know, there was another Twitter spat. You've spoken about these in the past in your column as well, but do you think that Ally McCoist's reaction, it's on the back page in today's Record, it maybe just kind of put things into perspective a wee bit? There's a lot of real vitriol that springs up online. You know, fans have a real personal go at people if they're not happy with them, and there's the aggrieved party walking straight up to John Gemmell at the weekend, embracing him and shaking his hand and really making light of the situation.
I don't know if we'd have done that had Stenhousemuir won the game, but the fact that Rangers got a decent win, another decent win, it's just typical of Ally McCoist really. You know, he diffused the situation very well, comes out with a bit of humour after it as well. You know, I think that the boy Gemmell will be embarrassed by what he wrote. You know, some people will think that he had some decent points, but the way that he portrayed it, the language he used, is just unacceptable. And you know, players have to kind of engage their brain before they engage their fingers, I think, when it comes to Twitter and Facebook and things like that.
Now, Celtic leave the country this week, heading to Turkey amidst a lot of transfer rumours. It looks like Joe Ledley will commit within the next 24 hours, according to the piece in today's paper. Georgios Samaras will be staying in Scotland to consider his future, but you know, you can understand Celtic, particularly in this post-Rangers top flight, trying to maximise revenue, I think is the popular phrase, but does it cheapen the league at all when the league leaders, the reigning champions, are able to sort of jet off mid-campaign and leave the fixture list behind?
I think it does. I think that the league should be played in its entirety. There shouldn't be get-out clauses for any club to take advantage of. I mean, Celtic did it in second game of the season, I think it was, when they postponed the game. And obviously they're getting paid for playing friendlies. Well, you know, it's a cup in Turkey, but Neil Lennon's already said that he will use it basically as 2 friendly matches. So there is a financial aspect to it, which, but you know, again, not every club can take advantage of that. Not every club can afford to cancel a game and get their players away to, you know, sunnier climes for a few days. So yeah, for me, I think that unless you have an absolute winter break where there's 2 weeks off, maybe 3 weeks off, but again, you've then get timings as well, you know, because sometimes our March can be worse than our January weather-wise, so it's a difficult one. But I think generally that unless there is a set winter break, I don't think clubs should be able to opt out.
And just finally, is this the end of the line for one of Celtic's longest serving players in Georgios Samaras? He said his ups and downs over the years. What decision will he make this week, do you think?
I think that he will go. Now, whether he chooses to see out his contract and just basically then goes for nothing remains to be seen. But I think you get the impression, just looking at him, his body language and all the rest of it over the last 6 or 7 weeks, he hasn't looked particularly happy, he hasn't played well. I've got a feeling that he will be off. Now, Celtic will try and offload him in January if that is his decision. But Samaras is completely within his rights to run down his contract.
Now, don't forget, you can read all the latest news in today's paper. We'll also be updating the site during the course of today, and you can also see video highlights for all the Scottish top flight matches on dailyrecord.co.uk. But from myself and David, thanks very much for joining us.
Cheers.